Adventists mourn the killing of 19 children. No mourning for 62 million. The swift reaction and condemnation of the killing of 19 school children at Uvalde, Texas, is a noble and commendable act. What is hard to understand is the Adventist silence regarding the 62 million killing of unborn children in the U.S. alone. North American Division Administration issues statement on Uvalde, Texas, school shooting. We mourn with and pray for those whose lives have been irrevocably changed when a gunman opened fire yesterday at the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, killing 19 students and 2 adults. The violence exhibited at the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde is a manifestation of how evil can the human heart become when inspired by the one who has been a murderer from the beginning. This marks the deadliest school shooting in the state's history, and our hearts cry out in anguish and anger against this evil act. Yes, this is probably the deadliest school shooting in the state's history. The sadness produced by this bloody act reverberated throughout the entire Uvalde community and the entire country. If the murder of 19 innocent school children merits the swift condemnation by the church, should not the merciless killing of 62 million unborn children inside abortion clinics cause a similar reaction by our church leaders? But as we pray, we must do more. We must find a way to end this type of heinous and senseless violence from occurring in our communities. Yes, we must do more than merely lament every time a senseless violence takes place in our country. We must take appropriate action to minimize the repetition of such cruel acts of violence. The same reaction should accompany the acts of violence taking place inside the abortion clinics, many of them owned and operated by members of the Adventist Church. National reports indicate that there have been 27 school shootings in 2022 thus far with injuries or deaths. No student should live in fear of gun violence. It is unacceptable to have any of these shootings normalized in any way. Yes, and reports indicate that there have been 63 million killings in the U.S. alone since the legalization of abortion in 1973, many of them inside clinics owned by Adventists. An Adventist owner of over 20 abortion clinics, for example, bragged before retiring of having performed 250,000 abortions. Did the leaders of the church ever reprimand him? On the contrary, he was honored at the 1990 General Conference World Session as a great benefactor for his generous donation of a sizable share of his blood money to Adventist educational institutions, including LLU, LSU, and many others. Edward Allred honored at the 1990 General Conference Session. We must search our souls for ways we can stem the tide of violence and implore our elected officials to take action. We must search our hearts and minds in order to prioritize human life. I fully agree. We must prioritize human life, and this applies both to school children and to children who are waiting for the privilege of seeing the light of day at the end of their development inside their mother's womb. As the World Church Statement declared, pursuits of peace and the preservation of life are to be the goals of Christians. Evil cannot be effectively met with evil but must be overcome with good. The preservation of life are to be the goals of Christians. Does this noble affirmation apply only to those children who were allowed to be born, or to all children, regardless of location and state of development? We can't keep thinking we are helpless in this. We can do something. We can hold our leaders and ourselves accountable. Yes, we can hold our leaders and ourselves accountable. There are several pro-life Adventists who have invested thousands of hours and large sums of money in an attempt to hold our leaders accountable for our duty to protect the unborn. Unfortunately, their independent ministries have been rejected and their voices silenced by those who hold the powers of the press in the Adventist Church. Please, hold them in your daily prayers for the church. If you can't copy the link, try Googling the title of the article, North American Division Administration Issues Statement on Uvalde, Texas, School Shooting. Save this video. Please, share this video with your friends. And watch the videos listed below. And post your comments below.